Hello and welcome. Today we're going to tackle something in English grammar that trips a lot of people up. When to use words like much, many, a little, and a few. Honestly, getting these quantifiers right is a massive step towards sounding more natural, so let's just dive right in. So take a look at this sentence. How much books do you have? Does that sound right to you? This is a super common mistake for English learners, but don't even worry about it. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly why it's wrong, and more importantly, how you can get it right every single time. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute foundation, countable and uncountable nouns. Then we'll move to the basic words like some, then the big ones, much and many. After that, we'll tackle the subtle difference between a little and a few, and finally, we'll put it all together with a little practice run. Okay, first things first. This entire system of when to use which word, it's all built on one really simple idea. The difference between things we can count and things we can't. Countable nouns are, well, exactly what they sound like. They're things you can actually count. You know, 1 apple, 2 books, 3 cars. If you can stick a number right in front of it, it's pretty much always going to be a countable noun. For example, it's super easy to say 1 ball, or to look at a group and count 3 balls. Simple, right? This is the whole idea behind a countable noun. But then we have uncountable nouns, and these are a bit different. They represent stuff you can't just count one by one. Think about liquids like water, or abstract ideas like time or happiness, or even things that come in bulk, like rice or sugar. You just wouldn't say 1 happiness or 3 rices. It sounds weird, right? So, how in the world do we talk about how much of this stuff we have? Well, here's the trick. We don't count the substance itself. Instead, we count the container it's in or the unit we measure it by. So for instance, we can't count water, but we can definitely count a bottle of water. We can't really count chocolate as just a big mass, but we can for sure count a bar of chocolate. This is the key that unlocks how to make uncountable things countable. All right, so now that we get the difference between these two types of nouns, let's look at the most basic tools we have to start measuring them. The rules here are really straightforward. You use A for a single countable thing that starts with a consonant sound, like a book. You use an if it starts with a vowel sound, like an apple. And then you have the super useful one, some. You can use that for plural countable nouns, like some books, and also for any uncountable noun, like some water. Okay, time to level up. This brings us right back to that question from the beginning, and the thing that causes so much confusion, the difference between much and many. You know what? The main rule here is incredibly simple. Many is for things you can count, much is for things you can't. That's it. Seriously. Let's see it in action, and it'll click. We ask, how many people? Because you can count people, right? 1 person, 2 people, 100 people. Since people is a countable noun, you've got to use many. On the flip side, we ask, how much time? Time, as a general idea, is uncountable. We can't say, I have 3 times. Not in this context. So for the uncountable concept of time, it has to be much. All right, Now for what might be the trickiest part of this whole thing. A little versus a few. The difference here isn't just grammar, it's about the feeling. It's about the speaker's attitude. So the huge difference here is just one tiny word. When you include it, a few or a little, you're being positive. It means, yeah, it's a small amount, but it's enough. But when you leave that A out, the whole feeling becomes negative. Few or little means you just don't have enough. Let's look at this sad, nearly empty wallet. If you say, I have little money, you're feeling down about it. It means you basically have no money, not enough to do anything. It's a negative vibe. But check out what happens when we just add that A. I have a little money. See? Suddenly it feels positive. It's not a lot, but hey, it's something. It's enough to grab a coffee. That one little letter completely flips the meaning. All right, you've learned the rules. Now it's time to see how this all works in the real world. Let's pretend we're at the grocery store. So you want to know if they even have carrots in stock. Because you're asking a question, the best word to use here is any. Do you have any carrots? And the shopkeeper's answer is positive, so they use some. Yes, we have some carrots. And because you can count carrots, they naturally follow up with, how many do you need? See how some and many just fit perfectly there? Okay, now you need something you can't count. Sugar. You'd say, I also need some sugar. And then to ask about the price, which is an uncountable idea, you'd ask, how much is it? Perfect. It all just flows. So, let's do a quick recap of the essentials. First, always know if you're dealing with a countable or an uncountable noun. Second, remember that simple rule. Many is for things you can count, much is for things you can't. And finally, don't forget that adding a to few or little brings in a positive feeling, that feeling of having enough. So, you've got the tools and you've seen how they work. The only question left is, how many new grammatically perfect sentences are you going to go out and make today? Thanks for watching.